Hello, welcome to another Aimtel webinar. My name is Zach, I'm your host today, and I'm going to be going over some best practices for bloggers, publishers, content, news sites, and things like that, and hopefully give you guys some strategies and some best practices and some things to improve your usage of Aimtel. Yeah. So what is Aimtel? Aimtel is a web push notification, and we can send notifications based on your domain and get your users re-engaged. Working from home at the moment, content is very valuable. On average, some data is showing that 3 to 4 more hours a day people are spending on their phones, more than when they're outside. And obviously everyone's quarantined at the moment, so everyone's in front of devices, everyone's in front of their phones, etc. So now is the time to begin engaging your user base and people who visit your site, and making sure that you are engaging with the growth. There's a lot I want to cover today. It's going to be about 25 minutes. That's sort of what I'm aiming for. If you've got any questions, feel free to use the question in the GoToWebinar panel that you'll see. So if you want to ask anything, I'll try and reach them at the end. Okay, great. What are some of our best features that can be used for content sites? There's a lot of different things that you can use, but by far the most valuable is our RSS feeds. So RSS notifications, they are very simple and easy to set up, and all you need is an RSS URL. Once you have that, you input that into our RSS notifications and then build out the notification, and it will automatically send. You can build out a campaign, and this is where you put the RSS feed URL in here, and then you can begin to send out the notifications. So this is what it looks like. Just quickly giving a recap here. So fantastic. Okay, where were we here? RSS feeds, automatic notifications, dynamic links. Here we go. So yeah, you can use the title and the body. This all should take you roughly 10 minutes. So it's a fantastic way. And if you're updating your content, think about all of those opportunities to send out notifications, get the latest content out there, and it takes 10 minutes. Now, targeting. This is where sort of a little bit more advanced can come in. Now, you can begin to track things for subscribers, so things like page views, things like category clicks. So for instance, on this BBC News site, let's say I click on this tech category, so I'm viewing a page of technology, or this video, or if I wanted to look at a UK specific one. Well, all of these things can be then tracked, used in segmentation, and then can be used to target. So if you're a bigger news site and you've got, loads of different categories, and you've got multiple RSS feeds where there's no limit on RSS feeds that you can set up, and the targeting, that drives your click-through ratios through the roof. You would not believe it, the fact that they're only getting the ones that they want to see. It drives that clicks up. You can also use RSS feeds for different or external sites. So you can use YouTube ones. So if you've got a YouTube channel or an Instagram or whatever, anything that's got an RSS feed, it's usable in the Aimtel platform. 20 minutes to set up. It'll lower your cost per click dramatically, and it's so simple. Anyone really can do this. Okay, the next one we want to jump into is sort of keeping in the same vein as automate notifications. As these few more people have joined as well, welcome to the notification. We've just covered RSS feeds. We're going to be covering some other automatic notifications here. So most of our automatic notifications are based out of our triggered notification tab, but there are a few possibilities with integrations. So I'll cover the triggered first. So triggered notifications are based off of events, and these events can be tracked. We track a few for you, but you can begin tracking them yourself. I'm not going to go into too much detail on how to do that on this one, but it's fairly straightforward. It's a little tracking snippet. You can define them to be whatever you want, and they'll begin tracking. You can then use those tracked events as either conversions or for triggered notifications as a trigger to send notifications. And that could be multiple things. It could be a PDF being downloaded. It could be a video being watched, a page being viewed. What are some other things? So they visited a specific landing page, so or they entered their email, they clicked on a button. The sky is the limit. Triggered notifications can then be used to obviously send a secondary, a second notification based on an initial event. So some use cases for content sites and things like that. Well, the best one really I can think of is a notification or a page view drip. And we'll cover another very popular one, a welcome drip, later on in the webinar. So for instance, a page view. So let's say someone views a specific page, and not only do they get the RSS notifications, but you can then send them a specific notification based on that. And and you can set that up to be whatever it wants it, and you can set as many as you want up to send with a time delay and stuff like that. You can do it off RSS notification. So we'll just jump into this one here. So let's say an RSS feed. We're assuming you've set one up. Well, we want the trigger to be the notification clicked, and then you can set it up as the RSS and imagine an RSS feed with the ID 1234. So let's say someone clicks on an RSS notification. Well, you can set up this notification to be however you want. It's very simple. I set this up just for the webinar, and this will send every time someone clicks on the notification. Fantastic way just to make sure that people who are curious in that content are getting the relevant content. It's just another next step that you can do to make sure you're getting the right content in front of the right people. You can even do something like a click out drip. So if you earn money on getting people from your site to other sites, you can even put that in the URL of these clicks. So let's say they click out, you track the original click out, you can send another notification clicking them out again. And that's twice the revenue for the same amount of work. So that's sort of an overview of triggered notifications. We'll come back and cover welcome notifications in a second. But I also want to cover our integrations, as I said earlier. So integrations, not only can you set up automatic notifications based off of events, you could also use things like Instagram or Facebook or anything like that to get notifications sent out automatically. So we've got a lot of different, integrations to Instagram. You can click on this here. It's powered through Zapier. So anything that's on Zapier, we can work with. So for instance, a new media is posted. So someone uploads a new image. You can send a push notification. This takes minutes to set up, and I kid you not, when I help clients, so I'm part of the client success team. So when I help clients, build out and give them optimizations, 9 times out of 10 they have 0 integration set up, and it takes minutes to do, and it's so simple to get your marketing streams streamlined. We've got Facebook, we've got a lot of other ones as well. So there's all these different things. We also have a lot of ESP integration, so email. So if you've got, let's do mail here, because you can see all of these different things that we use. Oh, I'm typing wrong here. Why isn't it searching? Mail. There we go. That's what we want. So all of the MailChimp. So you can connect them all up and make sure they're all in the same thing. So Klaviyo is another one that's very popular. We've got an integration with that. So just for your information, we can do that. We also have SMS feeds that you can do, all of these different things. So have a look in there. It's so simple to set up, and it's absolutely worthwhile to you. Okay, so that's a lot of different things for you when it comes to automatic notifications. So what else can we do? Well, I touched briefly on it, but our segmentation is by far our one of our most valuable things that we can offer here at MTEL. It is a competitive edge, and really it's so deep is what I'm trying to say. There's so much to it, and it's so useful for insights as well as targeting. So for instance, there's 3 things I want to touch on when it comes to segmentation that I think is very valuable for content sites. The first being categories, the second being device type, and the third being location. You want to be segmenting based on those 3 things. Categories or interest of users. So for instance, we talked on the sports or the RSS feed. Well, a segment that you could make would be whether they visited any page URL that had the word sport in. You could then use this, first of all, for insights. How many of your users are interested in sport? That's a good thing to know. But you can also use this in targeting. You can make sure, you can make sure that these people are getting the relevant content. So categories and interests is a super easy one. The second one is device type. So if we go back here to segmentation, we click on mobile here, we by default track for you mobile or desktop. So you can see here device type mobile or desktop. So you can track that. Use that in your notifications that you're sending. Send the mobile notifications, you know, that have Android in them or mobile in them. It increases your click-through ratio, or for desktop, for Macs, or whatever it may be. And the last one I want to touch on is location. We by default track location for you, and you can use this to segment, but also to target. So for instance, you want to send a notification saying hot breaking news in California, well, you can segment and then target people based on that. Very simple, but can drastically increase your CPC, drastically increase your clicks and lower your CPC. So segmentation, there's a lot more I could say on that, but yes, that is sort of the three areas that I wanted to cover. So we're going to transition now. There's some of our best features, but strategies and different things you can do. Well, I said we touch on the welcome drip. So welcome notifications are basically notifications that are sent when a user opts into your site. If you don't have one set up, this should be your number one thing to do, as well as RSS notifications. Always do your RSS as well if you've got the feed. You can do simple welcome notifications on the welcome notification tab, but I'd recommend you start using the triggered notifications. So we've got a very simple template that you can use, welcome push 1 and welcome push 2. So what welcome push 1 is, it'll send immediately, and welcome push 2 will be sent 1 day later after opting in. All you do is you just view the template, you use this template, it will then move into your triggered notifications, you edit it for your brand. So, you know, you add in an image, you change the icon, you maybe change the wording, you want to change all the sites to make sure they're linking to the right place. You think about where you want your client to be going, where you want to direct them to. Everything else is automatically set up. This should not be like that, but we can change that. So everything should be set up: visitor, subscribed to push. That's all it needs to be. We're not tracking any conversions, and there you go. It's all set up, easy peasy. You set that up, you activate it, and this is a notification that we sent when someone is opted into your site. You can then stagger them. So we've got one for 0, one for 1 day later, you know, and I've had clients who can do it up to, you know, they did 7 or 8 notifications spanning over like 2 weeks, and they were getting like insane click-through ratios all the way up to the end. It depends on your vertical and on your niche, but it's a great way to get that user engagement straight out of the gate. Another strategy that I'd recommend you use would be the personalizing the content. So for instance, if someone views a page on there, use that in the way that you target them and send notifications. Categories and page views are by far some of the best ways to do that. You know, clicking on entertainment and arts, that is drastically different than, you know, if they're interested in business. And so making sure that they aren't getting spammed with notifications that aren't relevant to them is vital. And we'll cover frequency capping later on in the webinar. Notification timing. I'm going to cover that at the same time, so we'll come back at that with frequency capping. Segmented content and new content. So again, we're hammering home that segmentation again. Not only can you use segmentation to get relevant content, but you can use the segmentation to make sure new users or old users are getting the new content. So something you could possibly do is, you know, making different segments based on when they clicked or when they subscribed, and then sending notifications on that. You know, the content is so key, and making sure the relevant content is sent to people. Opt-in incentives. We'll cover that last, I think, because this is a good last step. So we'll cover notification timing and frequency capping next. Timing is key. Why do I say that? Most of the time when people get to a point where they can send out notifications, the next step is, you know, why isn't my clicks higher? Well, I take a look and they're sending it, you know, at 11:47 in the morning or 3 a.m. in the morning. and they're not thinking about when they're getting the content in front of people. It's different for every vertical and every niche. So if you're a news site, okay, you maybe want to be sending out your notifications, 6 a.m. in the morning, when your users are waking up 7 a.m., 8 a.m. in the morning. So hit them with a drip every day. And you want to be sending those notifications so they're waking up, they're making their coffee, they're on their phone, and their headline's already in front of them. You already thought about it, you sent it out. You can do that with obviously our time zone, so it's global as well. But timing is so key. That is going to, the 6, 7, 8 a.m. for a news site is going to get much higher click-through ratios than 2 p.m. in the afternoon or 3 a.m. in the morning when they're asleep or they're at work and they're not checking the headlines. So just giving that 10 minutes of thought about when you want to be sending them can make all the difference in how your notification click-through ratios are improving. Frequency capping as well. I know I touched on that a little bit earlier ago. A very common question we have here at Aimtel is, I want to make sure my users aren't getting fatigued with my content. Absolutely great question. How do you do that? Well, we've got state-of-the-art technology to make sure that you aren't fatiguing any of your users. The most simple and basic is our website level frequency capping, where you can slide a customizable limit on your frequency, I should say. So it's websites, edit, and MISC settings. And all it is here is the daily push frequency cap. So you can set this to whatever you want. 0 is 0 and no limit. But you could put that at 3. That means that no matter what, no matter how many automatic notifications are set up, so you could have 10 triggered drips, you can have 15 RSS notifications updating twice a day, you could do all of that, but they will only get 3 notifications a day to protect your user. So again, different for every vertical, and you want to make sure you're optimizing that. The next sort of level down is campaign specific frequency capping. So RSS notifications by default have a frequency cap in their settings. So that means this YouTube one is they're only going to get 1 send a day, no matter what, even if you update it. So this is absolutely crucial for news sites. So for instance, the BBC feed that we were looking at, they update their content every minute. Okay, so that's a lot of different notifications. You can see here like the rate of which they upgrade. That's 4 times in an hour there. So we set the limit to be 2 a day for this particular campaign. Again, different for every vertical, different for every type of content. So that's why you can do it as granular as that. You can even go 1 step further and begin to put frequency caps on users. So for this one, what you could do is you could do days since last click and less than 1 hour. So, one day, this is by day, so 1 day. And you could use this and exclude people from notifications to make sure that they're not getting spammed. This is obviously a bit extreme, but I wanted to bring you aware of that. The last thing really I want to go over before we jump into some questions, I can see some questions here, is the opt-in. So this is highly strategic, and again, different for every brand. So opt-in prompts are completely customizable. You can make them look however you want. So you can have a native one, which is sort of the dashboard, so sort of not dashboard, the browser one here, or you can have a custom one, which is a 2-click prompt. This is customizable. You can make it however you want. You can even tie it to JavaScript on your site. So it's a great way to just begin to customize it and bring some strategy in there. Maybe if you're a content site and you do podcasts, you want to do a picture of your face next to it, or if you sell sunglasses, for instance, you want to put a picture of some sunglasses on there, and you want to build out that UI journey, that UX journey. Some things to note though, this generally, if you don't think about your custom opt-in, the native opt-in prompt always has a higher opt-in percentage. However, if you have a great strategy and you thought about it and you make it relevant and eye-catching, which is the point of this for your users, this will always beat the native opt-in prompt. So you just have to think about it and give a little bit of thought, and it's different for every vertical. Okay, so that's, we've covered a lot there. And we covered the automatic notifications, the RSS feed. We also covered the segmentation and even some basic welcome drips and some strategies for you. I have some questions here. I can see one from Justin here, which is, what about different browser languages? That's a great question. So we, by default, track browser languages and automatically ascribe that to the user. So you can see it here. So subscribers, and then the user is, this is English US. Now, how to use that? I would then create a segment based on this information, and then begin to use that segment to target the people. So you can use that in the RSS feed. So you can have an English RSS feed, a Spanish, or a French, or a German, and whatever it may be, you can use that to target. We've got full support for, you know, if you want to use multilingual ones, you can do that as well. So you can create an English campaign, a Spanish one, and so on and so forth. It doesn't translate automatically, just so you're aware, but yes, you can definitely use that to your advantage. That's a great question. I also see another question here from Jordan, asking, is the data on the overview real time? That's a great question. So actually brings me into talking about the logs. So the overview dashboard here updates about every 1 to 2 hours, and you can just see when it was last updated. If you want the most accurate real-time information, I'd start looking at the logs down at the bottom here. So the logs here, so custom events here, you know, you can export them, and they are absolutely real time. And you can export them and analyze them on a third-party app. The overview is about 1 to 2 hours. Segmentation, they update dynamically every 1 to 2 hours. And the campaigns and RSS, they update, you know, within minutes, you know, sometimes seconds, depending on the load. So there's some great questions there. So does anyone, I want to give a chance just to ask anyone if they've got any other questions that they want, or any specific strategies or anything that they want me to touch on, just before we sort of wrap it up here and I give the recap of the webinar. Thank you so much, by the way, for attending. I see there's definitely a few more people who've joined, so really appreciate that. Let's give a second just to see if anyone else wants to ask anything. Okay. Well, we're just going to give a quick recap and then we'll close it out. So in this webinar, we covered the RSS feeds, automated notifications. So RSS feed and automated notifications, they're all automatic. To do RSS, you just need an RSS feed, whether that's an internal to your domain or an external site like YouTube or Instagram. You can put those feeds into the dashboard and begin sending out notifications with minimal effort. You can have a lot of different types of automatic notifications, whether that's triggered or through an external integration like Facebook or Twitter or your ESP or your SMS. You can begin to combine your marketing efforts and work that way. We've got the best segmentation on the market right now, and sky is really the limit with this, and you can begin to get very granular with your users and what you're sending. Some specific strategies are welcome drip notifications. They're so simple and easy to do. Triggered notification, you get the template, you use the template, you edit it for your brand, and it's all done and dusted. And the integrations there, you can do the other ones. You can personalize and get new segmented content out to people as quickly as possible with combining the segments and the automated stuff. And we talked about notification timing and frequency capping and why that is important to set up to protect your user base and make sure you are having a strategy. Lastly, we also covered the opt-in and all of the different things that are possible with the opt-in percentage. And yeah, we can cover that. Oh, I just actually saw a question just come through there. What is the average amount of notifications publishers usually send? Again, it's different for every vertical, and it depends on how much you segment. The sky is really the limit here. If you're talking about a daily average, it varies obviously on subscriber limit. I would say a good place to start would be maybe 3 or 4 different triggered campaigns and maybe a manual campaign a day in combination with your RSS feeds. Because obviously your RSS feed, if you're setting them to send out 1 a day, that's definitely going to be 1. You've got your manual notification, that's 2. And if you say the average trigger being pulled is 1 in 4, which is about average, that's about 3 notifications a day with, you know, 1 manual, 1 RSS feed, segmented. That's really important. And then a couple of trigger notifications. So I hope that answers your question there. So about 3 to 4 notifications to each user every day is a good plan. And actually, just to touch on that before we close, that heavily ties into frequency capping. You know, if you're getting users who are saying like, oh, that's too much, then you can adjust it back. A good tip, this is just a general tip, a good tip if you're curious about if you're sending too much or too little, opt into your site. If you've not opted in, opt in, because you'll begin to see all of the automatic notifications you send. And it's a good way to test to see if they work or how they look as well. Opt into your site and you can see if it's too little or too much. Okay, any other questions before I close out? I'm going to give one last chance because since we've got a question. So if we don't get anything else, I'm going to close it out and thank you all for joining. I don't see anything else. So in that case, thank you so much, and we hope to see you on another webinar soon.